Do you know that moment when you find something that you will do for the rest of the day, regardless of your tiredness? If not, don't you want to find that one thing that is supposed to make you feel fulfilled? When you start realizing that you have so little time to spend on this planet, and you begin thinking about what do you like doing the most? What's your purpose? What do you want to do with your life? Why is that? Well, we are all exposed to all sorts of stories inspired by reality. Whether they are in books or films, we all feel the need to be the main character, to have an impact. And that's when a passion comes in. Have you noticed how productive you are when you do something you enjoy? You would almost put up with everything just to do the thing you love the most. I would do that too, if I knew what I was so passionate about. I'm a pretty hardworking person, and that's what has gotten me in my current high school. And I had to take an exam to get there. In that exam, I had two subjects, maths and Romanian. So my main focus was on those two subjects. Now, being a junior in high school, I have the opportunity to work and concentrate on any subjects that I want. I have 4 years to decide what I want my specialty to be, and what subjects I want to dedicate to, what subjects I want to make a career out of. And this is the mentality that schools all around the world plant into our brains. But this sort of mindset can be very toxic. When I started in ninth grade, I was filled with that enthusiasm of a new beginning, but it soon faded away. I had to deal with a lot of work from school and seeking my passion, and that soon got me exhausted. I remember that after one very hard day, when I felt I couldn't do anything, I realized that I wasn't studying anymore with pleasure, that I was just doing it as it had to be done. So at that time, everything that school stands for were ineffective for me, a student who had been studying for 9 years by choice, of course. So I wasn't feeling as I was gaining extremely valuable experiences. I didn't find a way of applying in real life what I had been learning in class. Seeking for my passion became and still is a painful, exhausting thing to do. And that got me thinking. If we had a system in which people would find their passion at a rather early age and put effort into making a reality out of it, the whole society would benefit from it. Reflect on this for a bit. People are most productive when they are doing the thing they most enjoy. So, how can we cultivate these passions so that we have a functional society? Well, through education. The thing is that in order for the education to have an effect, children should be passionate about school. But as schools leave very little space for personal development and cover you in big chunks of papers and homework, students aren't anymore attracted by studying. The school should adapt to us, students. Technology is evolving, and this whole pandemic does nothing but show us that we need to evolve, we need to keep up. We don't only need to update the technical part of our educational system, but also the way of teaching. In these times, with only a click, we can check a fact and have access to almost any information known by mankind. That's incredible. We don't need to thoroughly memorize those vast pieces of information in every class, lesson by lesson. I reckon it would be rather better if we'd be taught how we can use them in real life. What are their functional uses? Afterwards, it is sure that we'd find something that we are very passionate about, and we'd think that all the information regarding that subject is worth memorizing and remembering. This generation needs to be challenged. We already have the basis in a lot of subjects even before we attend school. We only need to be made to search and create, use the information we already have, and build something new. Let me give you an example. My generation can read Huxley without reading Shakespeare and still understand what John the Savage is like and what he feels when citing the famous writer whose name any infant knows. The present system worked for former generations who didn't have access to information the way we do. But things have changed, and as generations evolved, the school needs to keep up. I mean, is it normal to solve algorithms on a sheet of paper instead of running them on a computer, especially when having all the technical requirements? Schools should take advantage of our differences in our generation and maneuver them in a way that they can positively grow. Some teachers exploit, in a good way, our capabilities, but this has to be more frequent. Teachers need to go to schools as well. By the way, do you know what happens when I don't understand something from class? I turn to my textbook, but I hope in vain that I might find there a better explanation, as the manuals are written in a complicated manner using loads of technical terms. I almost feel deprived of my right for education. These sorts of problems, constant postponing. Not all solutions are perfect, but by hearing our voice, by hearing what we actually say we need, adults and children can build a foundation for future generations that will create a more productive society. Reshaping the educational system is a tough thing to do. It requires a lot of time, energy, and experiments. However, because education is a key step to achieving a truly functional society, all the effort put in changing it for the better certainly pays off. So, how can we do it? Well, Romania is a developing country, so it needs to grow on multiple levels, not only education. Therefore, for now, I think that the best solution is implementing systems that already work. They don't need to be perfect from the beginning, but after we have a stable, good system, we can start bringing new features to it. In high school, you decide what you're most interested in order to dedicate yourself to those subjects and do the best you can. But when having 20 subjects taught by people who have great expectations from you, it might be hard to decide what is best fitting for you. And I insist on finding the right passion because nobody should do something they don't love. The demand from students is very high because teachers give most of the times their best, which is great. On first hand, the competitive spirit can be an advantage. However, the pressure of seeking and finding your passion is enormous, and that might make you believe that you don't really have an identity. That's foolish, but people need to understand that identity is the fact of agreeing with themselves. Teenagers go through a lot of crises, and the free time in which they can discover themselves is very important for a healthy development. The issue is that a high school student has an average of 6 hours of school a day. In order to master the curriculum, a scholar would study for around 2 hours for every subject daily. That's 12 more hours. And because I attended all my maths classes, I can tell you after an easy calculation, a student should work roughly 18 hours a day. They wouldn't have enough time to eat, take a break, go on social media, or even sleep. An adult's job is of 8 hours a day. How can a child last longer than an adult? Even now, I'm awake 16 hours a day. Is that normal for a developing brain? I think that one of the best solutions for this problem is reducing the number of subjects in schools. For instance, students would have 3 mandatory classes, such as maths, first language, Romanian in my case, and a foreign language. Each student would be obliged to have 5 to 6 classes. So they can choose the remaining 2 to 3 subjects that they want to attend. And of course, there will exist the liberty of attending more than 6 classes for the interested scholars. The students will have the possibility to change the chosen subjects each year, and in this way, they will be able to explore different departments, different paths in order to find their own. It is a strategy used in a lot of different countries and mostly for universities. It would allow the students gain an amazing experience and find out what they are passionate about, give them a direction they actually like. Everybody would benefit from this sort of system, including teachers. The students would be graded correctly for the subjects. Their entire focus would be on the classes they've chosen, and so they would have enough time to study, prepare for tests, exams, and even difficulties encountered in life. The teachers would know that the exams they have are a better reflection for the students' capabilities, and that they'd have an improved image of how much of the information has actually reached the children. This system would allow scholars to approach this system would allow them to approach teaching in a new way in order to actually educate scholars and make a change. If we put our minds to it, finding and implementing a solution is not that hard. And when the well-being of our developing country and developing world is at stake, we surely can make a change. Let's make a passion out of making our planet a better place, and let's start creating a society we love. Thank you.